In 1932, Australia fought a war and lost, not to another nation, but to birds. Machine guns roared across the dry plains of Western Australia, yet the enemy, thousands of towering emus, outran bullets and outsmarted soldiers. What began as a plan to protect farmlands became one of history's strangest military failures, a battle where nature triumphed over man. You're watching Fact Files, where real history unfolds, one untold story at a time. This is the unbelievable true story of the Great Emu War. In the vast, sun-scorched plains of Western Australia in 1932, amid the grip of the Great Depression and a relentless drought that turned fertile dreams into dust, the Australian government declared an unconventional war, not against a foreign enemy, but against a feathered foe that outnumbered and outmaneuvered its human adversaries, the emu. This towering bird would humble the might of machine guns and military strategy in what history now remembers as the Emu War, a conflict where soldiers, armed with the tools of modern warfare, faced an army of birds that refused to fall, revealing the limits of human intervention in the wild rhythms of nature. Imagine, if you will, the year is 1932, a time when the world was reeling from economic collapse. In Australia, the scars of the First World War still lingered as thousands of returned soldiers, promised prosperity through government land settlements, found themselves battling not just the harsh elements, but an unexpected invasion that threatened their very livelihoods. These men, many who had survived the trenches of Europe, were now farmers in the wheat belts of Western Australia, regions like Campion and Wolgolan, where the soil was unforgiving and the promises of bountiful harvests had turned to dust under the weight of frosts, rabbits, and now a massive migration of emus. To understand the origins of this peculiar conflict, we must journey back to the aftermath of the Great War. The Australian government, eager to repay its debt to the veterans who had fought under the Anzac banner, granted vast tracts of land, over 90,000 hectares, to returning soldiers. Many had little experience with farming, yet were thrust into a life of agriculture with the hope that wheat would become their salvation. But nature, indifferent to human plans, conspired against them. Droughts parched the earth, frosts nipped at budding crops, rabbits gnawed through what little survived. By the early 1930s, these farmers stood on the edge of ruin. Then came the Great Depression, cutting wheat prices, slashing government bounties, and forcing 1 in 4 farmers to abandon their land. It was into this landscape of despair that the emus arrived, not as aggressors, but as survivors, driven by the same drought, following ancient migratory paths toward the green fields of man. By late 1932, more than 20,000 emus descended upon the Campion district, their powerful legs and instinctive coordination laying waste to the fragile crops. The farmers, desperate and outnumbered, pleaded for help. Their cries reached the desk of Sir George Pearce, Minister for Defense, who authorized a military operation led by Major G.P.W. Meredith of the Royal Australian Artillery. His unit was equipped with 2 Lewis machine guns and 10,000 rounds of ammunition, and accompanied by a Fox movie-tone cameraman to document what was expected to be an easy victory. On November 2, 1932, the first engagement began, but the emus scattered in all directions, dodging gunfire with astonishing speed. Hundreds of rounds were fired, yet only a handful of birds fell. In the days that followed, the soldiers tried again, setting ambushes near waterholes or even mounting guns on trucks. But the terrain was too rough and the birds too fast. The guns jammed, the emus escaped. Major Meredith observed with frustration and admiration that each flock seemed to have a leader, a sentinel that guided their escape. He later remarked, "If we had a military division with the bullet-carrying capacity of these birds, it would face any army in the world." By November 8th, the operation was declared a failure. Newspapers mocked the campaign as the Great Emu War. Parliamentarians joked that the medals should go to the emu, who had, as one said, had won every round so far. But the farmers pleaded again, and the second campaign followed. By December 10th, Meredith reported just under 1,000 confirmed kills, but the overall emu population remained undiminished. The military withdrew in quiet defeat. In the aftermath, the government replaced guns with bounties, paying for each emu killed. By 1934, 57,000 were culled through local efforts, a far more effective but far less dramatic approach. And so, the Emu War became legend. Not of conquest, but of humility. It reminded humanity that even the most advanced weapons can falter before the forces of nature. In the end, the emus endured, free, untamed, and undefeated, symbols of the wild spirits that no army could conquer.
This was Fact Files, where truth is stranger than fiction. Subscribe for more real stories from the edges of history, where every fact has a file.